The world is changing around us. Where grocery store prices climb daily, global headlines spark anxiety, and convenience has quietly traded away our independence. It's easy to feel like the runaway train. What if the antidote to uncertainty isn't found in the latest news cycle, but in the time-tested wisdom of our grandparents? Welcome back to episode 49 of Homestead Happenings. I'm Susan from the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch. Grab something cold to drink, your favorite comfy chair, and settle in as we go through the current events with grit and stamina of our ancestors. We are looking backwards to move forward, uncovering the lost art of self-reliance, community, and a resilience that carried our families through history's darkest hours. And it just might be a blueprint for navigating our own. The economy of use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without. Our labor and our goods are fighting. We live in a world of overabundance. But there was a time when the world went dark. The Great Depression and World War II were the darkest time in American history. On December the 7th, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on the U.S. Pacific Fleet, destroying major naval vessel assets and killing 2,400 Americans. On December the 8th, Congress immediately declared war. Japan was partnered with Germany and Italy in a tripartite pact. Germany and Italy declared war on the U.S. on December 11, 1941. The Japanese attack on Honolulu, Hawaii, and Pearl Harbor brought us into war. America had already endured the worst downturn in industrial history that lasted from 1929 to America's mobilization for World War II in 1941. The Great Depression was triggered by the stock market crash in October of 1929, and the run on banks followed by mass unemployment in 1933, leaving 13 million Americans without work. Industrial production fell by half, and wages plummeted. The dollar deflated, caused by the value of goods to cash. The Dust Bowl took place in the 1930s to approximately the 1940s, with Black Sunday on April 14, 1935, displacing 300 million tons of topsoil in a single day. To say our nation was dealing with crisis upon crisis was the understatement. The government plan, also known as National Wartime Conservation Program, came out of the Office of War and the Office of Price Administration, OPA. It included mandatory rationing that limited how much sugar, meat, coffee, gasoline, and leather shoes a citizen could buy. National salvage drives for citizens to collect scrap metal, rubber tires, tin cans, and even waste kitchen fats to make explosives. The OPA froze everyday prices on goods and rent to prevent the wartime inflation and stop businesses from hoarding scarce resources. The birth of Victory Gardens could reduce consumer demands on commercial food, ensuring farm crops went to our soldiers. And propaganda and news and radio to explain the use of ration books for everyone that played into the bigger picture. Women and minorities took on new roles in the workforce. There were war bond campaigns as Americans adapted to wartime conditions. Japanese and Asian Americans were rounded up and moved into American concentration camps and looked upon with suspicion. Many of those were born in the USA. This was just one of many of America's darkest moments. War does create its own set of problems that sadly happened during World War II. There was the birth of the Tuskegee Airmen, compiled a distinguished combat record in Europe, and the Bracero program in 1942 was a bilateral agreement between the U.S. and Mexico that brought workers into American agricultural system and railways, filling gaps from workers who had gone to war. Learning to mend clothing, sharpen and care for tools, make multi-purpose cleaners from basic ingredients like vinegar and baking soda, render fat, repurpose jars, and fix small appliances shields us from the inflation, and these are just a few skills from our grandparents' generation. As a homesteader, I look to the past skills to implement in today's life where we can and where it is possible. My parents grew up in the Great Depression and World War II, and it certainly did affect how they lived. My mother, in particular, wouldn't throw anything like glass jars and aluminum foil, butter wrappers, cereal wax paper that could be reused or repurposed. For instance, butter on a butter wrapper could still grease a cake pan. The wax paper could be used for homemade candies to cool on or be wrapped in. Aluminum foil could be used to scrub pans. And glass jars were often refilled. My mom made homemade tuna salad and put it in a glass jar. She made homemade chocolate syrup, and of course it went into a glass jar. Glass jars could hold nuts, bolts, and screws, marbles for the kids' game, and be used to catch bacon and sausage fat. Old clothes were mended or made into new clothes or quilts. Nothing was wasted. My dad could recane a chair, rebuild furniture, and he could reupholster furniture. Both of my parents knew how to sew. Before hyper-individualism, commuter trains and survivor literally depended on the village. Families shared tools, shared skills, bartered, and did group canning sessions. In hard times, your neighbors were the insurance policy. They knew each other, they shared harvest surplus, looked out for everyone's children, creating a local safety net for the community that no government agency can replicate. Modern society has robbed us of that basic safety net. In today's society, we are used to food coming from fast food restaurants or the grocery store wrapped in plastic, all food for commercial sales only. The local farmers have no choice but to turn fields into commercial crops if they want to survive. Commercialism has led to self-centeredism. Communications used to be family gathering and the neighbor's fence line. Today, you are lucky if you get a text message. We all have cell phones, but the only calls we receive daily is from someone named spam. Very rarely does family write letters or pick up the phone to call. It's easier to shoot a text message or email pictures, and pictures are all on your cell phone, Facebook, and Instagram. We don't use the old-fashioned camera any longer. Money is quickly being replaced by plastic credit cards. And they did away with the penny because it now costs 5 cents to create one. But they didn't tell you there was enough pennies in circulation to last for generations already. Another thing concerning is pennies were made from copper. Historically, humans were in constant direct contact with copper through soil, well water pulled through copper pipes, and used copper cookware. Did you know that copper is an essential trace element that our bodies can't manufacture on its own? We have to ingest it. Copper and iron work hand in hand. Without copper, our body can't absorb iron, leading to anemia and stubborn fatigue. It's vital for our red blood cells, powering your cellular mitochondria. Copper powers antioxidant enzymes that protect your cells from antioxidant stress and free radicals. It also is a building block for collagen and elastin, meaning it helps your skin heal and keeps your connective tissue strong. It's also needed for strong cardiovascular health. Ancient civilizations stored water in copper vessels to keep water fresh and pure. Modern science has proven that bacteria, fungi, and viruses struggle to survive on solid copper surfaces, while stainless and plastics can harbor germs for days. I wonder why they don't use copper in hospitals, but they decided to use stainless steel. Doesn't make sense to me. Another interesting fact about copper: it naturally breaks down bacterial cell membranes on contact. Whether it's copper pennies from pre-1982 as a tangible hedge against currency devaluation, or recognizing how deeply our biology relies on trace minerals from the earth, copper is a fundamental pillar of the human resilience. It combats our financial security to our physical vitality. In a world that is changing around us, where the grocery store prices climb daily, global headlines spark anxiety, and convenience has quietly traded away our independence, it's easy to feel like the passenger on that runaway train. But what is the solution to uncertainty? Centuries ago, a scripture gave us the timeless reminder in Proverbs 6:6-8, King James Version. Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways, and be wise, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer, and gathereth her food in the harvest. We can do the same. Be wise, consider our ways, plant a garden in the summer, and enjoy it until harvest, storing up the food for the winter. We learned from our ancestors how to plan, prepare, harvest, store, and preserve. My grandparents ate meals from seasonal harvested foods. They preserved food from the harvest for the winter months. They put in the sweat equity for the wealth of the groceries in the pantry shelves and in the larders as long time security. They worked together as a community and shared the abundance, bartered, traded goods and services. Hog killing meant meat on the table, fat for cooking, and soap. Nothing was wasted. They followed the seasonal rhythms and eliminated the need for commercial foods and global supply demands. They simply grew what they ate. Our ancestors dealt with hardship that dwarfed modern conveniences, and yet they maintained a remarkable amount of grit. They spent less time wishing things were different and more time adapting to the reality in front of them. When crops failed or a job disappeared, they pivoted immediately. Entertainment didn't require subscriptions or a screen. They had community, dances, porch conversations. They read by lamplight and worked together toward the common good that fostered a deep contentment and a strong family and community bond. History proves that humans are adaptable when they trade good common skills. By returning to time-tested wisdom of resources, community, and domestic production, we insulate ourselves against modern instability and honor the legacy of those who came before us. Our schedule is Monday and Friday full-length videos, Wednesday podcasts. All drop at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. Once a month, we have a live at 11 a.m. on the third Monday. Our content is interactive, including community posts and shorts. Our channel, we use the model, use it up, wear it out, make it do or do without. We are anti-consumerism, seeking self-sufficiency as much as possible on a 1.5-acre plot of land in West Tennessee. We are in our senior years and sharing our knowledge and what we are learning with you. Our hope is to teach the next generation skills that will empower them, prep them, and make them independent thinkers and doers. Remember, navigating a changing world doesn't require a crystal ball. It just requires us to return to stocking a pantry with fresh garden foods, connecting with neighbors, preserving old world skills, using self-reliance and skills learned, and getting your hands dirty. We can't control the world in chaos. The cavalry isn't going to save you. You have to tend the soil right where you are. I'll leave you with a thought from author and agricultural writer Wendell Berry. The earth is what we all have in common. Until next time, keep your hands in the dirt, your community close, and your hearts steady. Be blessed and a blessing.